Cinco de Mayo is right around the corner, and so is the annual RPAC auction. Lots of great prizes such as the iPad and other electronics, golf packages, travel packages, gift baskets, a mariachi band, and money. There's a chance to win $1,500 by purchasing a key to the treasure chest. Don't forget to RSVP to Matthew Ledger at 561-585-4544. Do you wish learning technology was easy? Join us for the Technology Day on Monday, May 2nd in our newly renovated Boca Raton Conference Center. Leave with new ideas and efficient ways to use your time with practical technology tools. 2 sessions available and breakfast and lunch is included, plus you have the chance to earn 8 CE credits towards your license renewal. RSVP to Dennis McDonald. Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Wednesdays at 3. I'm here today with Ron Kaniuk of Ricardo, Waslick & Kaniuk, and we're going to talk a bit about the foreclosure market. There's been an increase. March was the first increase of foreclosure complaints that have been filed. So Ron's going to tell you a little bit about what you need to be aware of and some steps you need to take. So welcome.
Thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
No problem. Thank you for being here. I'm sure a lot of you probably recognize Ron. He's done quite a few presentations here at the association, and we thank you for all of your time.
Thanks.
So let's get into it. Why has there been an increase?
Well, there were a variety of factors over the last couple of months that led to a decrease in foreclosure filings. Primarily those were finally the courts and the banks having their eyes opened by a lot of work of my firm and others in the foreclosure defense area, raising issues with robo-signers and fraudulent documents and questionable documents and incomplete documents. And those issues, the incompleteness, the fraudulent, and the repetitive nature of signatures, raised questions about how foreclosures were being handled statewide and across the country, and a moratorium was issued. That resulted in a complete slowdown of foreclosures. Then you had, over the last couple of months, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac pulling files, firing the main law firms down here in Florida, David Stern's office, Ben Ezra and Katz and others. So those files needed to be reallocated to other law firms that needed to be approved by Fannie and Freddie. And then in addition, you had those new firms needing to get up to speed in order to file new complaints, comply with the verification requirements issued by the Supreme Court, and put themselves in a position where they could then bring new foreclosure complaints. Okay. So what we're seeing are an increase in new complaints, clearing up the backlog. There's still a tidal wave that we expect over the summer or in the fall, and then you'll see a continued increase in foreclosure filings. And what we're also seeing is crisper complaints. We're seeing less complaints that raise the issue of a lost note, because the banks know they need to get that note and produce it early. And then secondly, we're getting less complaints that have errors and omissions in them.
Okay. And so going through the different things, what do our members need to know?
I think that the realtors and brokers and affiliate members and everybody else who's watching this need to know the same issues, but repetition never hurts. So they need to know what's going on with loan modifications, short sales, foreclosure, bankruptcy, associations, how those issues intersect the real estate market, and how they can be barriers to selling or buying homes.
Okay, so let's go through and break them down. So let's talk about loan modifications.
I always tell realtors that if they have a prospective client who talks with them at length about a loan modification, then they're not really a prospective client. Because someone who is looking to modify their loan is looking to stay in their house. We're not seeing principal reductions, or what we're starting to want to call principal corrections. And unless you're going to have a principal reduction, someone's not going to be able to do a sale that isn't a short sale where they're underwater. So if they're talking about loan modifications, wish them luck. Tell them not to fall prey to a loan modification scam. Encourage them to talk to a lawyer about their rights and about the rights that they might waive in accepting a loan modification, because the loan modification documents usually have the borrower reaffirm all the mortgage commitments and waive the defenses that they might raise in a foreclosure defense, and wish them well. But go on to a sale that's viable.
Right. Yeah, give them the information that they may need, make the contact. Maybe when they
realize that they can't get a modification,
yeah,
that they'll come back for a short sale.
Yeah.
But
maybe follow up with them. And what about short sales? What would our members need to know about that?
Well, short sales are increasing, which is frustrating for homeowners who are looking for loan modifications, but is a fact of life. So let's go back to what a short sale is, and then we'll talk about the process. A short sale is a transaction where the bank is taking less than the amount due. And oftentimes they're either negotiating or waiving the deficiency, which, if you were doing a loan modification, would in effect be a loan modification with a principal reduction or a principal correction. They're not doing the loan modifications with principal reductions or principal corrections, but they are approving short sales where the homeowner sells the property for the adjusted real market value, and the bank takes a loss. And they take a loss by either waiving the deficiency in whole or in part, or negotiating it. They also take a loss by simply giving up the lien on the property and turning what is a secured obligation by the homeowner into an unsecured obligation, even if that unsecured obligation is 100% of the deficiency. But the banks are seeing short sales as a way to clear up the pre-foreclosure backlog and the foreclosure backlog, and at least get things moving. There has to be a hardship. They're still insisting on that. There are a range of things that qualify as hardships, whether it's loss of job or underemployment or catastrophic medical, a new child, medical issues. Any of those things are going to qualify as hardships. But you've got to show the bank a hardship. You've got to show them a reason why the homeowner can't afford the mortgage payments and why the house should be allowed to be sold short, what the loss in value is from when the mortgage was instituted to what the current issue is now.
Interesting. And what about the other side of the spectrum, the foreclosures?
People have to be aware that foreclosures are continuing to happen. And this is the most frustrating thing, especially in light of the increase in short sales. Because the homeowner will get a letter. The homeowner may be in foreclosure or may be imminently in foreclosure while a short sale is pending. And they will get a letter from the bank that says, we've received your short sale application. We will not commence or conclude a foreclosure until the short sale is either approved or rejected. That sounds nice. But there's a wide gulf between commencing a foreclosure and concluding a foreclosure. And there's no promise from the bank to stop the foreclosure itself. So homeowners think they have a short sale pending.
Right.
They won't get served with foreclosure papers while that short sale is pending. But if they've already been served, that foreclosure is going forward.
The process
it won't go to sale, but the bank will proceed to summary judgment. The bank will have the opportunity to schedule a sale date if it decides to reject the short sale. And if the homeowner doesn't defend the foreclosure, if they're not actively involved in their foreclosure case, then if something happens with the short sale, especially if the buyer walks away, the homeowner is going to be in deep trouble, and the realtor and broker can lose their commission.
They're now further through the process with the foreclosure.
Absolutely.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. And
you've got to defend that foreclosure from day one, regardless of what else you were trying to do, whether the homeowner's trying to do a loan modification or the homeowner's working with a realtor on a short sale. If a foreclosure complaint is filed, they need to talk to an attorney. They need to hire an attorney, file a notice of appearance, get an extension of time to answer, file motions that allow for the short sale to proceed, and stop the foreclosure from going forward.
So don't just ignore the foreclosure thinking that, oh, I have a short sale going through and everything's going to be okay with that, because we all know that the short sales don't always go through.
Too often people call us after the short sale has failed, or while the short sale is pending. We have a sale next week, can you stop that? Well, no, because you didn't notify anybody on the bank's end that there was a short sale that was in progress.
Right, can't wait until the last minute.
Absolutely.
Right, interesting. And how does bankruptcy relate to all of this?
Well, the thing that I always talk about in bankruptcy is that if you have a homeowner who has two mortgages and the second mortgage, usually the HELOC, is completely underwater and they have income and they qualify for what's called a Chapter 13 wage earner bankruptcy, they can file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, cram down the second mortgage, make it completely unsecured, release the lien, and then have a greater opportunity to sell the property, because then they don't need to reach a settlement with the second mortgage lender. They just need to deal with the first mortgage lender, who's underwater anyway and is approving a short sale. But then you don't have to deal with the separate negotiations with the second lien holder, because they've been crammed down and their lien has been replaced as an unsecured debt and treated as unsecured with the rest of the homeowner's debts in a Chapter 13 plan. So that's something that realtors and homeowners should be aware of. They should consider actively talking to a bankruptcy lawyer to see if they can utilize that as a means to facilitate their short sale.
Yeah, that's an option a lot of people probably don't think about.
Absolutely.
That's very good. And I know that a lot of problems with associations come into play with all of these foreclosures and short sales, and what would our members need to know about that?
Everybody needs to know that the associations have greater and greater power to enforce smaller and smaller liens and bring their own foreclosure cases. And associations are doing so with greater ferocity and with greater quickness than they have in the past. They're not sitting idly by and letting the foreclosure case take its course, because they are losing money every day that they don't get paid. When I represent foreclosure clients, I tell them to pay their HOA or condo association fees as they come due, to not fall delinquent on those. If they do, to negotiate settlement of them. There are no great defenses unless you have proof that you made the payment and it wasn't properly allocated. All the issues that we raise in real estate foreclosure cases don't exist with homeowner associations and condo associations. Homeowners and residents and condo association residents need to be vigilant about paying those bills. They need to be vigilant about dealing with those liens, and they need to be on top of it, because the homeowner association or condo association can foreclose subject to the mortgage, but then they can evict the homeowner. And then the homeowner is still going to be liable for the mortgage.
That's
a whole additional level of problems that people can get into.
And it's difficult enough with just dealing with the banks initially.
We live in very complicated and chaotic financial times. People need to be vigilant. They need to be proactive. They need to address financial problems as quickly as possible. They can't bury their head in the sand, and they need to seek help from professionals. We say it all the time. People wouldn't perform heart surgery on themselves. They wouldn't perform an appendectomy on themselves. I have friends who had to, because the baby came so quickly. He had to deliver, his baby without making it to the hospital. If you ask him, he would prefer to have made it to the hospital and let doctors do that work. People need to talk to realtors, to lawyers, to accountants, and address their financial issues and issues with their homes, whether they're first homes, second homes, investment properties, or whatnot.
So it's important for the realtors to be aware of what's going on so they can ask the right questions, but really leave the digging to the experts and send them to the professionals.
Absolutely.
The right information.
Absolutely.
That's great. I think that was a wealth of information. I know I learned something. So we thank you very much. And Ron is always available to answer any questions that you may have. And you want to give your contact information?
They can look at our website, which is ricardolaw.com, RICARDOLAW.com, or they can call us at the Boca office, 561-869-0200. 561-869-0200.
Great. And thank you all for tuning in. And we will see you again next week for another edition of Wednesdays at 3.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.